Thank you both for joining us.
How you doing?
So Coodie, I really didn't know what to expect from this. I am blown away. You met Kanye in 1998. You had a rising career as a very popular comedian in Chicago. You hosted a show that I watched. It was called Channel Zero, where he chronicled hip-hop. Kanye was 21 years old. You quit your career and started following this unknown person. You did not know if he was going to become famous. You did not know anything really about the trajectory of this guy. But you left your job. Why? What did you know?
Well, I say first I wasn't that funny, so I had to. No, I'm really kidding, but I mean, it was just something about Kanye, man. I seen him command the stage one time at this place, the Art Bar. You might remember that.
I remember that. I've been
club.
there many times. Yeah.
And he just was so charismatic, and not only that, he was so talented with his production and the things that he was, saying. Like his lyrics was like so positive. Which I want to commend you and Mr. Hart for bringing positivity to TV right now, because that's what we need. And my prayers to everybody in Ukraine as well. I just wanted to say that and get that out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's just a remarkable thing. And when I think about someone giving up their career and saying, as a reporter, I'm basically going to follow you and cover your journey. Chike, it is interesting to watch because a lot of people don't know, and I didn't really realize, people underestimated him, which may explain why he feels the need to do some of the things he does now. He was making beats or, the music, if you will, behind a lot of hip-hop, writing it. But you guys even have, when he was basically brushed off, he was trying to play his little cassette everywhere he could, and everyone would say, "Get out of here, kid, get out of here." He was always fighting to prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, and we can definitely relate as filmmakers in this space, especially as Black filmmakers. You feel like you're always fighting, climbing an uphill battle. You know what I mean? And I think, Kanye, he believed and knew how good he was. And it's just, he had a message that he wanted to get across to the world that he was super passionate about. And I think, and obviously with his mother being so, instrumental in being a champion of him as well and believing in him, I think it was hard for him to feel like, why didn't other people believe in him that same way? You know what I mean? And that's why this film, for us, is so much about having faith, because it really takes faith to overcome all the adversities in life that you're going to have to face when you're moving in your passion.
I was surprised. There I am watching it, and I pop up in your documentary. I was in it reporting on the death of Donda West, and I thought, this guy, I know how much he loves her. What happens next? You and I both know that so many people believe that Kanye West losing his mother in the way that he did, that was a switch, that changed Kanye, and that it explains some of the things we see now happening in his life.
I agree with you. I think it's definitely safe to bring up. I think it's a fair argument to make. My mother was one of those mothers that went above and beyond what is expected from my mother. And Kanye's mother did the same. So I know what that feeling's like, to have a mother that just supported you, is really truly your anchor, because she supported you. And to lose that, I could only imagine losing my mother now and what that would do to me psychologically. And I'm 43, so I could imagine losing that in my late 20s or my early 30s. Like, how do you even recover from that?
That is the question. How do you recover from him? Coodie, I know in the 20 years that you recorded him, he never asked you to put down the camera except once, at least as documented. People want to know if some of this behavior is Kanye being a showman. We know he's been open about his mental health struggles. We do know that. But you also mentioned in the documentary where he does fancy himself, for lack of a better description, as a showman, that he needs to perform. Do you believe that some of this behavior is performance based on your documenting him for 20 years?
Yeah, but that's what I thought throughout the whole journey. Anytime that we call it going off in Chicago, when he would, go off or have rants, I thought, that was just a part of the show. But I realized that it wasn't. The only time when I really experienced it in person was in DR on my camera, and it didn't feel right. And I put the camera down because I was like, I need to pay attention, because Kanye is not just, an artist. He's like my brother. So I knew I needed to listen and really you know, if I had to intervene or whatever, because I just never experienced that. But I know God got him because God always had him. So I'm not too worried like that at all.
Well, you mentioned, and when we come back, we'll talk more about it. You're like brothers, but even your closeness was challenged because Kanye wanted creative control over this documentary. What was that moment like to get their story out, or the story they wanted to tell, versus allowing Kanye to have control? What happened in that conversation when we come back?
And they say overconfident, like that's a bad thing. I think overconfident, that needs to be a bad word. How can you be overconfident? You should be overconfident. You should have more confidence. People should have more confidence in themselves.
That was a clip from the Netflix documentary Genius. We are back with the directors and producers of the film, Coodie Simmons and Chike Oza. Coodie, in that clip, you could see Kanye West's mother in the background. That was an event that she'd put on in Chicago on behalf of education and in helping children in Chicago. And he was explaining confidence, which people try to understand the difference in confidence, and he said in overconfidence. And I thought it was a very thoughtful portion of that. As a reporter, I'm going to pull people behind the scenes. There are people who come on the show and say, don't ask me this, you can't ask me that. And Oprah always told me, you ask them what you want, it's up to them how they answer. And I try to keep that mantra. Kanye, in January, before the film's release, went on Instagram and said, I must get final edit and approval on this doc before it releases on Netflix. You did not back down because as a journalist, if you will, in this role, a storyteller, you wanted to tell the story. What was that like, given you thought of him as a brother and you knew your intention was to share this journey, but he wanted to in some way censor it?
Oh, yeah, it was like heartbreaking at first, but I told Kanye when I met with him in DR that, you know, this story is not about him and it's not about me or Chike or Jay Ivy. This story is about for all the dreamers. And we're just a blueprint of how you can, you know, have the confidence and move in faith, you know, with God walking with you, with Christ walking with you to get to where you need to go. So when he did say he wanted creative control, only thing I could say was trust God, you know, trust God, period, because you can't stop what's ordained by God. And when he said that, you know, I just knew it was gonna that we was gonna, you know, hold our ground and we was gonna keep moving, and then we are here now. So, you know.
Are you still friends?
Yeah, we definitely still. I mean, he always gonna be a brother. I'm 6 years older than him, so he always gonna be my little brother, really. And when I can reach out to him, I will, and I have been, like, sending them different quotes and, you know, things like that people might send me, you know. But one thing about Kanye is he don't, you know, when it comes to telling them not to do something, he want to do it even more. So I know
telling
how
me.
to really like.
Listen, I don't have to know him for 20 years to see and know that. But it is good to know that there are people in his life who are telling him what they believe is the truth. And I cannot just glaze by the fact that you are a deeply religious person. Your faith is important to you. You worked on Jesus Walks with Kanye, and it's a current in this trilogy. Both of you are people of deep faith, and that is part of what connected your bond. Chike, looking at this trilogy now, no one, I think, could have guessed, other than the two of you, that this person 20 years later would be, as he says, a billionaire, and as he says, a genius. I'll have to ask you, is he a genius?
You know, I feel like Kanye's definitely a genius. You know, you can't deny what he's done with his career musically. To me, he's a musical genius. And I think, but this film was, the reason why we call it Genius was because we feel like everybody's a genius. Everybody has a genius tucked in deep inside of them. Some it just lays a little bit more dormant. But this genius to us is attached directly to what you're passionate about. And it's just about tapping into that genius. And a lot of times we just get, in life, we're so consumed with just survival, the everyday survival of life. We don't even have time to unlock that passion and tap into that genius. And then when we do, we just have so much fear to even move in it. And so that's what we really want to do, is show you a blueprint of how to move in it confidently.
It is. It's a fascinating way to report and cover someone. Chike, before I let you go, did he say he liked the documentary?
Well, as far as we saw the first, we actually watched the first one with him when we premiered it. And he did like the first one, from my understanding. I don't know if he's seen 2 and 3 yet, but the first one had an impact on him. You know, he came in first. Initially, he had his hood up, and you know, it was kind of, you know, we didn't know what to expect. But as he watched it, his hood came down, the smile came up. So he was definitely impacted by the first one. But I can't wait to hear if he saw all three.
You directed and produced other high-profile documentaries on people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Muhammad Ali. It is incredible to watch two people pick up. And Coodie, it was so long ago, it looked like a Super 8 that you had in your hand. It was old school. But so long ago, you picked up this camera and you decided to document something. And I believe anyone has the ability to be a reporter. You have to just tell the story. And you have captured a fascinating story involving a fascinating human. But what it's done bigger than that is created a career path for both of you that I celebrate. Congratulations, Coodie, from The Chi. Chinke, thank you so much. Genius, a Kanye trilogy is streaming now on Netflix.